not sure if anything is actually happening. Not sure what the heck that was. Didn't do nothing. Just all of a sudden went away. Don't even know if anybody can hear me or see me. Yeah, I don't know what that was. I was just doing stuff, and then all of a sudden there was nothing happening. Gonna start doing some lighter stuff over here. No idea if Twitch is doing weird stuff or not. I am gonna get me maybe a little bit of light up here. That can't be too light. If it's too light, then none of our lighter filigree / brocade stuff is gonna do much of anything there. I did add the little white stuff on the eyes there. It's kind of funny, because for me it's still counting. It's at 1 hour 25 minutes. I know it's probably at 0 right now, but for me it's still at 125. It's not like anything changed here. I have to get some more of our yellow in there too. Let me get this little light done up there. Okay, might want to do that a little bit more. Where's the Indian yellow? I think we'll try to work some of this in there. Also, too, with some of the white. Come on. So yeah, everything was fine. I didn't do anything. It's just all of a sudden not working. Yeah, this is a little bit of the orange in it. We didn't really have any orange in there before. Now we got some. Because, yeah, all of a sudden, Velfir, it said connecting the chat. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And it showed all green lines, and then it was, like, totally stopped. No idea what's going on. Well, this was going to be a shorter stream anyways. I didn't realize it was going to be that short. Let me get some of this here. A little bit of that. So after, well, let's see. We, at least my counter is going to be saying how long the stream was. So then I'll actually know how long we've been doing this. Was that going to be too light? So yeah, not any idea what was going on there. And all of a sudden, the bit rate is all back to normal and all that kind of stuff. So not sure what's going on. I wonder if other folks haven't done, they close out the stream, right? And then bring it back. Now I'm going to get my references back here too, because I need those. Hey there, Conrads. No idea what was going on there. I didn't do anything. I was just doing stuff. There was no new things that came on or whatever. It just decided to turn me off. Yeah, recall. I was just going along, and all of a sudden it said reconnecting to chat. And I went, "What in the world is going on there?" And then it was dead. Let's keep rolling this way. So that pretty much means the first hour. Well, in the YouTube video, you won't be seeing that. which is fine because we haven't really done much of the freehand at all. That was going to be kind of the major thing of this, was all the freehand stuff. And I think now we can start to play around with this a little, because we're not going to be doing as well. We're going to be doing the hair, but I don't think that's going to require quite so much leaning on the figure. Yeah, maybe we can with a little bit of that. A little more of that over here. Because we don't want that to be all just a light there. Yeah, so Guys, this really makes you look forward to doing some streaming, doesn't it? Yeah. It's like you're not doing anything except just streaming, and then, well, that all goes away, right? Recoil. So I guess it'll be a little bit still, right? Recoil before you try doing the stream thing again. Because I know there's all kinds of plans, ideas that you got going on there, but also too, things can't be quite they can't be quite so adventurous. It has to be a little more chill. Now, I haven't seen any messages from Armored Wolf, so he might already be back in the chamber. Also, he may not even know that it went bye-bye. Let's get a little bit more over it. Again, this is not our lightest light here. It's lighter, but it is not the lightest light. I mean, and we haven't, I think we'll be using a bit of the fast matte white too on some of our free-handed stuff. Yeah, don't be surprised. Now, for some, again, the latest light of the brocade stuff, we'll probably be using that. Nice to see their Sea Dragon. Yeah, Sea Dragon, the Twitch killed the stream a little bit ago. So great to see their Sea Dragon. I don't know if you got to see any of the Nimue that we were painting on the stream last night. There she is. So that's the alternate sculpt of Nimue right there. And like I said last night, once all of the oil stuff is dried, then we'll get the water effect stuff on there too. Yeah, so he may not even know that that went kerplooey. Because I don't think I've gotten any messages from, again, it's not like I can really see when people send me messages. I can only like hear in the other room. There's a little sound on the computer or whatever that somebody sent some kind of message. Thanks, Sea Dragon. Appreciate that. And again, we are doing another version of our Guinevere. This is the Queen of the Silver Thread version. Again, this is the essentially kind of the closest to the corrupted version. I actually do have a corrupted version of Guinevere that I still have to paint yet. Just realized I might take some of that to Gen Con. I don't think when's the last time I ever got to paint at Gen Con? Outside of in the booth with Ken, I don't really remember too many opportunities to do that. Let me get this. A little more here. A little more there. just a little more light on that. A little more there. So yeah, Sea Dragon, I was down in Peoria at the Adepticon meeting Thursday. Actually, now Sea Dragon, did you have as much of the? I think we were talking about the wildfire stuff, right? That Thursday, that was really nasty. That's why I didn't stream last Thursday, was because most everybody here was pretty much passing out, and I don't mean like that as a figurative way. That was pretty much literal. There were people that were actually kind of just like clonking over. Some more of our light this away. And then again, we're gonna be doing all kind. You know what? Maybe we can. No. Let me get a little something on the hair first. With one, maybe we'll just use this here. Lighter brown for the hair. Yeah, I figured the Sea Dragon. Now, of course, but when we were, you could see on the way down there as we got further away from it, closer to Peoria, that wildfire stuff, smoke went away. It did actually end up making it down there a little bit. Not a ton. Let me do some of this here. Yeah, and maybe we'll get a little bit of that Naples yellow in there. It was pretty minimal, Cedra. I mean, you could tell there was something, but it was very minimal. Get that lighter stuff in the hair. Well, you know, I'm gonna keep going with that Naples yellow.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
We're also gonna welcome in Dungeon Crafters Guild. Thank you so much for that follow. So, that's supposed to be Arwen, is it? You realize you're in the wrong universe. It's like, I know everybody says I'm in the wrong universe. Maybe you smoke less weed. That would help. It's not weed, it's pipe weed. Thank you so much. Appreciate that follow, Dragon Crafters. Let's see what happens on the big Gandalf 6. We had half a 6 before. We got the other half of the 6 there for Dungeon Crafters Guild. So, well, we can technically say we had ourselves a 6. It took 2 tries. We had to add them together, but we're going to say that is a 6. Let's keep going with some of our... I'm going to maybe do a little more with our... Here, this is the brush we want to use. This one here. Again, more of the Naples here. A little bit of the white. That's some of the stuff that actually went into the shadows there. Again, you can see we're trying to get a little bit closer to the hair color we did on the other Guinevere. And then we actually do have another Guinevere that we've already painted. She is over here. This is represents basically Guinevere at the height of her powers. A little bit of freehand there too. Hey there, Electrical Ramskull, how you doing? So this is my own stuff right here. This is our Cyberthuria board game and extraordinaire. We have all kinds of fun stuff that's associated with this. This is our alternate version of our Nimue sculpt here. Here was the original version where you hide. You're all the way up there. So that was the original version of our Nimue. So these are all my own sculpts here, and we've been doing this, since before Adepticon. This was a tutorial video that I just finished filming. That is Morgan Le Fay on her serpent throne there. We had a blast doing that. That was a 4-part series right there. So yeah, Armored Wolf, no idea what was going on there. It just all of a sudden went away. And of course, well, we've also been doing our Cyberthuria Universe. We've been doing our Celtic Goddesses. We've also been doing our Compass Rose stuff. We did this on stream a couple of weeks ago right here. That's part of our Cyber Republic. We've also been doing the ships of the Cyber Republic. Where's the, well, here, we'll show there's the battle cruiser right there. So again, we've been doing the ships, we've been doing busts and sculpts of all of our different species. Get back to our brush right here. So again, we're going to, oh no, that's right, we were doing this. We're doing this. And again, this is Guinevere. We've been doing a lot of the fractured / corrupted versions of our characters. We also did all of the board game figures on stream. And if you check out the Linseed Fellowship YouTube channel, you can see them there. Okay. We might go a little bit lighter after this. So great to see you there, Electrical Ramskull. Hope that everything's going fabulous. So Conrad gets another shot at 145. Yeah, Conrad, that was super weird. So Electrical Ramskull, my favorite worlds are the one that I make myself. Those are by far my favorite. That's where the most fun is, for sure. Again, that's why we have our Cyberthuria Universe. That is why we have our Compass Rose Universe. We've been doing all the starships for that. I think we've had at least 5 streams, maybe 6 streams now, painting all the starships from our Compass Rose Universe. The Cyberthuria board game. And RPG, that's something that I started working on, March of this year. We painted a whole bunch of the pieces of that. We painted these, what would you say, 28 mil representations of our characters. We also painted up a bunch of the tiles, a lot of the specialty tiles like the relays and such. So yeah, Conrad's no idea what in the world was going on there, why it disappeared like that. But that's pretty much par for the course for Twitch, right, Recoil? We want to go a little bit lighter. I'm not going to take the lemon yellow. I'm going to take this white here. It's sort of a brownish gray at this point. There. Let's do this here. So you can, if you check out the Instagram there, Electrical Ramskull, you'll see a bunch of the Cyberthurian stuff posted. Again, we've also been working on our Celtic Goddesses. And then, of course, our our Compass Rose Universe. We can go up this way a little bit, maybe. Where's my overall map here? I think, is that going to be this here? There we go. So that is our Compass Rose Universe. There's the big 6, as we call them. Well, yep, there you got the Cyber Republic. And that's these guys down over here. So again, that's the Cyber Republic. That's the very first ship that we painted. There's more ships that we painted on stream right there. And there you can meet them. The architecture, all about the philosophy. If I remember, this is just one of about 17 different civs. Yeah, this is just one of them. And every civ has an ethos, their government, their entertainment, like this right here. And if you take a look at that Sky Theater there, and that encompasses this right here. So that's the Syria Republic. We also did a bust for them right here. There you go. And let's see, where's some of our ships over here? We got I think we can get to the carrier here. So that's a little difficult. We'll get to the transport ship. So there's our troop transport ship for them. Because yeah, never read fantasy books or comic books or anything like that. So mostly just kind of did my own stuff. And well, now we get to, now that there's 3D printing, we really get to enjoy it, right? Recoil. Would have been nifty if these tools were around back in the day, but you know, whatever. Yeah, 30 years ago, these tools would have been very, very handy, but sometimes it takes a while to end up with the tools that you need. And trying to chuck in a little bit more lighter stuff in the hair. We might go a little lighter than that at a certain point. But here in a sec, we are going to try to get ourselves some of the freehandy stuff here. Let's grab this guy here. Gonna get my reference where I need it. I might even, here, let me just roll with this one first. Some of the, where's our brown? Okay. We'll get those rolling together, not too thin. Just thin enough so that it actually, yep, that's about the right way. Maybe a little bit thinner here. We need a little more of a curve on that. Maybe we go a little darker. Let me get a little bit more to Indian. Yeah, okay, maybe we'll try this here. That might just be a better, yeah, I'm gonna get a little bit of the lighter stuff in there. Okay, that might just work a little better. I first saw it in what, 2001 when it was in the theaters. I'd never heard of it before then, which is funny because well, we are the walking silly Marillion, right? Recoil. We can draw a map of Arda pretty much from memory. Let's see, how many times have we actually painted? I think we painted Arda twice on stream. We also have our Landscapes of Middle Earth series. Then, of course, we're also making our own game here, Middle Earth War at Sea. So that's the Harad flagship right there. We have painted tons and tons and tons of stuff. Now let me see, how many Lord of the Rings armies do I have? Oh, I think I have about 17 of those, including the legendary legions, because reasons. Let me do this right here. And you know, symmetry, we kind of need the symmetry of these here. Gonna be lots of flowing stuff here. Get that little hitch on top there. Okay, and then this is gonna come down. And then up this way. That cuts in there. That's a little odd. Okay, now that'll work better if I do that. We'll connect it that way. Now we're going to start working with this. We're going to get more stuff around the gemstone there. Play a little connect the dots there. Or connect the freehands, one or the other. We need you to come out all the way out here. Yeah, let's do that. Then that's going to come out of here. Of course, we all know that Kamul is best of all race. And of course, Prince Imrahil, the grandest hero in all of Gondor. You will come up and over like so. I'll notch in there. This here is going to come down. Again, around that our gemstone there. Ooh, yeah. Again, if you check out the YouTube channel, you'll see all kinds of Lord of the Rings content there. Up and over. And of course it's Babylon 5 or bust, right? Recoil for sci-fi stuff. Let's get this over here. And of course we all know that the Easterlings, even after the ring was destroyed, I think it was at least 2 days, maybe 3 days, they were still going at it up there around Erebor. There we are. And a whole bunch of that stuff, that goes all the way back to War of Wrath days, that sort of stuff. Let's go in here. There we are. Oh yeah, that's right. The breaking of the world, Balerion falling into the sea. That's gonna extend and go over this way. Extend this a little more. Extend that. So all this stuff here, none of this is sculpted in. We're just having some fun doing this, that's all. That's all. There's nothing actually here. Not so sure about that little wing on the end of it, but we're just going to have to roll with it, I think. I would stay with that now. We need ourselves a bit of a curve in there. Going like so. Up, around, down. No, we're gonna just, so maybe we'll let that just connect there. Maybe we'll even connect it there. That wasn't really the original thought. Maybe we'll let that do have another little sweep there too at the end. Maybe even fill in you a little that way. Another extension of this here. We're just going to take that and roll with it that way. Another extension here. I can take that. Another little twister on the end there. Let's get some stuff up here too. We haven't got these guys yet. Up and over. Another little curve there. That we might need to make an adjustment there too. Not sure. Now, if we go like this, and then like this, that might make a little more sense. Especially if we attack on a little something here. That's gonna come up. That's gonna come over. So we're just about at hour number 2. I know the counter's not gonna say 2 hours because, well, it chunked the stream there at a certain point. I think we had basically just done all of the face detail type stuff, and then everything went kaplooey. Let's see which way we want this to roll. I'm going to try to have one come out there. Now, some of these, they also have to follow the folds too. Those undulations sometimes mean like, well, we were really led to have this part of the pattern there. Sometimes the undulations just say, nah, you're not doing that. Now, a couple little add-ons here. Then, of course, I mean, this is pretty dark. Remember, we're going to be going lighter on top of this. That is going to give it that sort of the shinier silk thread look, whatever. Again, Queen of the Silver Thread. That's the motif that we are looking for here. Where's my... there's my stuff. I might go now directly. Yeah, let's just get this one here. There. More of our... let's get a more complicated brocade stuff going over here. We might have to also get more light in between there. Might also have to do, some of our digital pattern as well. I don't want to forget that here. Getting some connect. Gotta make some connections on those. So yeah, it came to, I was just doing stuff, and then all of a sudden it said reconnecting the chat, and then it was all gone. And Valferis said that he had to basically restart Twitch to be able to get back in. So no idea what was going on there. I guess it's just another typical Twitch day, right, Camda? Yeah, and I had no idea what was going on there. It was just like everything was fine, then it's like everything is unstable. Because again, that's pretty much just Twitch. I wonder, let me. So we're going to hit. Okay, fine, I'm going to do another one there. Now we're going to do something like this. Let me see if I can't. Get something that has a little more of a. Maybe that hook comes back down again. Maybe we'll do another little insert there. Like that. So yeah, that was right, Valfair. It was enter cam to exit stream. That's pretty much how that went. And of course, that is when the brand new meme of Blame Camda began. Loud choruses of Blame Camda. Another set of those down here. Not going to do that on these other areas, just on that. Let me do some of that up in here. Bit more of the brown. Well, here, let's take this. That is I can see a little chunk of paint on there. So definitely it makes 100% sense, right? Recoil to just blame Camda. We'll continue with our dark over here. Now on these guys, got to do a similar thing. And then again, all in here, that's where we're going to be doing the lighter brocastas. We haven't forgotten about that. But we're kind of putting in some of our darker stuff here. Then we'll be coming back with the light. Same thing over there. Let me get this going in here. Yep, like that. Nice to see you there, Blue Suede. Happy Saturday. Now it's possible. Actually, I might also. I forgot about our might be doing Rhiannon maybe on our Saturday stream, so we might be doing that bust right there. It's going to be either that or we have another one of our Nimues that we might try to do. I mean, I think it's fair to blame the Magpies for everything, right, Recoil? Especially when you have one of their most ardent supporters here. More of our dark right along that edge there again. So what is it now? Oh, it's 1:46 in the morning here. Now, Sea Dragon, hopefully you've had a chance to kind of paint, get a little bit of painting done over the last few weeks. And again, another programming note because of Gen Con. We'll be doing the Saturday stream and then hopefully doing the Monday stream, and then well, it could be a little while before I get to do the next stream. The next stream may be a Tuesday one. I'm not so sure about Monday because it's very possible we're not even coming back until Monday. Blue Slate doing the larger scale stuff is very fun because well, there's stuff you can certainly do on that you can't necessarily do on the 1/1800 scale ships, but of course, well, here we get to do our fabulous water effects and stuff there. And of course, well, let's see, do we have some? Yeah, we have some of our regular figs here. Again, we have tons and tons of Lord of the Rings figs I've painted. If not, it could be thousands of them. Well, let me see if I can get to this here. Well, let's see if we can get our Easterling Beefy Chiefy out here. There he is. So that was super fun. We took one of those Reaper figures. We actually did the sculpting on stream, and then we made him part of our Easterling army there. That was a big old troll chieftain for our Easterling army. Let me do this. Thanks, Blue Suede. Appreciate that. We actually did a whole bunch of Easterling terrain on stream. There's much more Easterling terrain to go yet. Yeah, we're just kind of working in some of this darker stuff. Then we're going to come back in with the light. But you gotta have dark to show the light anyways, especially down in the deeper part of these undulations. Yeah, more of this here. Some more dark along there. I think we've pretty much done the... no. Wait, we gotta do that up here, too. We started messing around with some of the lighter stuff. Let's get some of our darker stuff in here, too. Perhaps maybe even up in the crown a little bit. Blue suede generally just kind of maybe whatever it is that... who knows? Maybe you want it for playing a game or something like that. That could have a large impact on the decision there. Or you just say, okay, I would like to do something that maybe would just be kind of fun. Maybe something I've never tried before. And of course, where's there? Oh, we don't have our. I don't have the Dauntless here, but I think. Let me see. Where is our Dauntless here? Oh, that's not it. That's not it. Where is my... No, that's our ship painted. Oh, there's some of our 1/1800 scale ships. There's our Easterling army with the Chiefy there. There's some of our terrain. I'm trying to say, oh, of course, we've done lots of our... We have, what, 13 of those Galactica ships there or something like that? Let me see if I can find... I'm looking for... Oh, well, there's a... We did like 6 of those on stream, too. Did a bunch of those guys. Oh, yeah, that's right. We painted 3 Corsair ships. We also painted some of those yurts there. But I'm not saying that I was looking... Oh, maybe it's this way. Maybe if I go the other way, I'll find that. Ooh, that... No, it's not there, not there. Still haven't been able to... Okay, well, I thought I knew where that was. But I guess not. So yeah, Blue Suede, just whatever you think might be the most fun. Well, Revless, hopefully you could choose something that's super fun. And maybe nothing where you have to deal with problematic decals. Alright, let's maybe now do a little bit of some of our lighter stuff here. Couple more hits with the dark, and then we'll get to our lighter stuff. Another couple swipes with these. There, there. Down and around. Let's see what we have some of our really light stuff right over here. Let me see what's gonna happen with this. I don't want to necessarily go too light too fast. I might actually grab a little bit of the not Mars Yellow Deep, Mars Yellow Deep over here. Yeah, Blues, I can only imagine with those Gundams and the decals. That's how we just do the freehand stuff. No decals. I've tried all the decal stuff, and that is just kind of that's always been sort of a no bueno there. So we just kind of avoid the decals. When we're doing our bolt action armies, it's just, you know what? It will be a whole lot easier just to freehand that stuff on there. Doesn't matter what the army is. I mean, if I've got to freehand a bunch of P dot camo, I might as well just freehand some Balkan ruses and other stuff. Down and around. Down and around. Let me come up and around again. We don't want to take out all of the darker stuff. We almost want it to be like there's almost a bit of cast shadow here on some of our freehand stuff. And we might go even a little lighter than this with our yellow stuff. Now, Camden, we're only about 11. And again, since the official time is kept here in Wappleville, we're actually getting close to a Cinco Dos there, Camden. Yes, indeed. It's 2 hours 11 minutes. That's the actual time. Twitch time is not our time, especially when it steals our time. Again, the idea is that some of that, see, some of the darker stuff is still underneath there. And then, of course, we so again go a little bit lighter than this. Up and over the top. A bit of light there. With these, let's see, I don't think we'll jump into fast matte white. We will get some more of our just a regular old white out here. Because kind of, there's not a whole bunch of that sitting out here. No, there is maybe. There's more than I thought. Yeah, we actually get a lot lighter than this. I didn't think so, but yeah, I'm looking at it. Geez, we can go much lighter than what we have here. Up and over, up and over. So yeah, blue suede, I can only imagine with those Gundams, there's gonna be tons and tons of tiny, tiny little decals of all manners. You know, we still need some of our light up in there. Also some here. Gotta get, yeah, let's get that little hook right there. Okay. And then we gotta go all the way, all the way around here. So let's say if you got Instagram or Discord or something like that, then folks can check that out. I can't click on it myself, but other folks can if they want to. Usually those Discord links are a mile long. Still don't know why. Instagram links are just Instagram links, but yeah, Discord links are just like forever. A little less paint on that brush there. Up and over there. And up and over. Then I want this to maybe even connect with what is happening down in here. So it is 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 9 seconds. So we got ourselves about 7+ minutes here left, Camda. I'll just give you the high sign. You just have it queued up and ready to rock, and we'll. That's gonna be a little bit different this time around. I have no idea what the new timer says. I only know what well, actually, the new one says 52 minutes. Okay. I got basically 2 different times on 2 different 2 different screens. But yeah, the one, obviously the restart one says 52 minutes. Well, Kanda, we always wanted to go back in time, so we can have a cinco dos and then we can have a cinco uno, Kanda, because that won't be confusing at all. Multiple cinco unos and multiple cinco doses on the same stream, that will not be the least bit confusing. Not at all, right, Camda? We still got ourselves about 6 minutes, almost exactly 6 minutes. About 6 minutes and 1 second or something like that. Because it is 2 hours, 16 minutes. Yeah, we're working some of our lighter stuff here into this. That's why we did all the darker stuff first, so that this would show up. And when we go to our lightest stuff, show up even more. Of course, where there's shadows of undulations or something like that, we'll have less of this. I guess you could call this a midtone. This is not actually a light. This is sort of in between. So there is a little bit of a website link there for folks that want to see just how teensy tiny all those Gundam decals are. So we're at 2 hours, 17 minutes, about 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes exactly there, Camda. It's now about 4 minutes and 56 seconds to something that doesn't mean, well, anything. It literally means nothing. We just have fun with it, right, Camda? That's all. Now, this little bit of light, see how that kind of makes those stand out, and then when we really hit it with the lightest of light stuff, then that's really going to do it. So, but check out the decal sheet, the Gundam decal sheet there. More of our light here. And that's blending all the way, because this here's all this is oil paint. This is all oil paint. Again, now 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 24 seconds ago, that's when I actually started painting. Ignore that false 55 minutes over there. That is not how long the stream's actually been going. Oh, looky here, we haven't done the light on this yet either. We'll get some light in there. Carry that out this way. Like so. Some more of it out this way. Gotta get some of that light up in here too. Along this edge, and again, that's when the brighter stuff hits. That really going to stand out nicely. So we're just about, well, it's a little less than 3 minutes now, Camda, from 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. I'll get me some more. I'm going to light right down the middle here. Still trying to leave some of the dark stuff behind, because again, that gives this the stitching, whatever you want to call it here, the embroidery, a little bit of dimension. Making that lighter now here. Like so. Doing that now. More of our light up in here. Ooh, yeah. Right there. Continues down a little bit, and then this also becomes lighter. More light this way. They're just kind of hinting at patterns here in this trim. So we got ourselves. It is now going to be, looks like 1 minute and 22 seconds. Yeah, it's 2 hours, 21 minutes. So 1 minute and 20 some odd seconds. This is probably the most elaborate countdown we've had here, Camda. I mean, normally it doesn't go like several minutes all the way in because, well, you can see it. It's the blind countdown there. So we're now less than a minute away. I see 2 hours, 21 minutes, 20, now 36 seconds now. Oh yeah, we gotta get our light over there too. And again, this is the same as what we put here. Then we gotta get our lightest stuff. Then we gotta start doing all the bouquet stuff outside of that. Tempted to do that in digital form, but I think we're gonna keep it more in this organic form here. Fine. Here, let me get some of this. No, that's too late up there. Well, look, that's a wet oil plant. Like, it just went away. It all went away, no problem. So great to see you there, Kisa. I hope that you're doing well. Of course, happy Saturday to everybody. Now it is 2:05 on a Saturday morning here. And there it is. It is a Cinco Dos. Thank you so much, Camden, for getting that. And of course, now, Camden, we're only like 11, maybe 12 minutes away from another Cinco Uno again. There's going to be all kinds of Cincos here. Yes, the blind Cinco Dos there, Camda. Able to nail that. Oh gee whiz. Let me hit this first. Then we got to get that central panel there before we can move on over here. Let's get this one first. We had started doing that. Let me hit this now. All the way up here, and now let's go back to this. That's it. Then we'll get a even lighter yellow. I don't think we want to go necessarily all the way to our white though. Let's get some stuff around the gemstones there. So yeah, we're now about 10 minutes and something seconds, because you can see the other time, right, Camden? That one I don't need to tell you. I believe you can see that one. Catching a little bit more of our, again, so some of the light on the freehand there. That should get a little later. Also that. There was a little bit of, again, just some of the spray paint stuff that I put on here. That then it's not the stuff that eats foam. It's just Liquitex paint in a spray can, and we just kind of just shoot some random mid-range color. Nothing too light, nothing too dark. And it's not meant to be a zenithal or anything like that. It's basically just something that would act kind of like primer. Let me get this in here. A little lighter there too. Okay. Gotta get these later. Right along that. Some boards of this also need to get a bit lighter, not super duper light. Again, that's in shadow right there, so we don't want to do too much. Maybe a little later here too. Yeah, let's bring this all the way down here. There's some more. Again, that's not as light as that can be. We can go a little bit lighter than that. Now I can continue along here. This is about the last portion of this that we haven't done yet with our mid-range yellow. Not too much thinner, boy. I could see just how much of the other paint had mixed into that. So I think, Cam, after our second Cinco Uno, I'm going to go refresh the anti-sleeping medicine there. Also take a little look-see at the print, just to make sure nothing funky is going on. The one print still has probably about 10 hours to go. That would be the repeat on those trees. Alright, I think we... let's see, I'm going to go a little bit of this on the crown here too. Just looking at this, we don't have much anything there. Get, almost like a little bit of reflected light, something along those lines over here. So I think it's showing you right, Cam, about 7-ish minutes or so to the our Cinco Uno dose. Yeah, this is gonna get mighty confusing here. That's going to get real confusing. Okay, I'm going to take me some of this yellow, and we do have our white here. Let me take these two. We shall break these down. Wow, these... And even this is not straight up white, but man, this is still way lighter than the yellow we already had. We just put on there. There won't be anywhere near as much of this, of course, as there was of our mid-range yellow. You know, let me just trying to get the clumpy stuff off the brush. Get some thinner in there. Also gonna, again, I used, this as a bit of a reference there to show me where the circuitry is supposed to go. So we got about, so it's 5 minutes left, looks like, Camda. Again, just breaking that down. We want this probably to flow pretty well here, because again, we're not using as much of this. Alright, this is the first spread we did, so we want, so this has been having a chance to set here. Wow, look at how much later that is. That is a whole lot later there. And again, you can see we'll only do it in certain ports. Just certain ports are not everywhere. Up here, again, almost to get like we're highlighting something that is kind of like a semi-ridge or whatever. I'd actually just brought some more of my white in there just to make it even more opaque. Not necessarily brighter, just a little more opaque. It certainly is more opaque now. Let me hit the, yeah, here, over the top of this. I'm pretty sure you can see what the emphasis is. It's kind of on these upper surfaces here. Not a lot of it going down into the recesses. I'll lighten you up as well. Yep. We'll get a little bit of extra light on those. That light hit up there. Another little, again, a little hook on the end of that. Let's get a light on the top of that. It is not as opaque as it really should be. Well, it's going to be opaque now. That was a whole bunch of extra white that just got mixed in there. So we got a, it's looks like about 1 hour 8 minute on our second timer. The actual clock is 2 hours 31 minutes. That's how long the stream's really been going. Again, for whatever reason, Twitch was being twitchy earlier. We work in that. A little extra there. A little extra light over here. A little extra light there. Boy, you can, that really does make a difference on these. And again, the idea is to make them look like they're sort of embroidered, stitched in there. And that means you gotta give them a little extra height now, make them look like they're ironed on or something like that. So we got us less than 2 minutes now, Camda. It's 1 hour, almost 1 hour 10 minutes. Well, nope. Let's go to the right area here. Get the right stuffs. And not everywhere with this. Just kind of following these undulations here that are along that hemline. See some light here because this is a bit of a raised surface right there, so we'll hit that a little later, and then we let that fade. Then we go later again over here, and then let it fade, And then lighter over there with these undulations. Let me get back to the front of her here. Come on, all the way at least to there. Let's try this again. And now this really does come forward when we do something like this. Alright, there we are. Look at that. Nice to see you there, Doji. So happy Saturday there, Doji. Hopefully, again, the bakery run achieved. I'll try to do my own bakery run. We'll try to make that dump cake, I think, after the stream tonight. So there it is. There's our cinco, our double cinco uno. Yeah, Doji, we were going along just fine. I've actually been streaming for 2 hours 34 minutes. The clock says 1 hour 11 minutes and 30 some odd seconds now. It's definitely been a little longer than that. And of course, Doji, if you want to share some oil paint stuffs, there, please go ahead. Oh, we never really did anything lightwise down there either. I need to catch this line of light right there. We have another one to do over here. You can see the fingers are nowhere near that metal ferrule yet. We have ourselves all kinds of nifty control, right? So geez, sorry about that, Doji. Now again, the hype train here. Let me see if we can. I'm gonna see if I can kill that sound here. Let's see if I can find the. Okay. There. Now that should. Now we shouldn't be hearing all kinds of noise. People can confirm that. But yeah, now we shouldn't be hearing. Shouldn't be hearing too much noise and racket going on. So sorry, there, Doji, that all of the stream count up there. Yeah, sorry that it's not always easy, right? Because the streams are starting at weird times. And then sometimes they don't start at all because, well, we're either gone or there's some other kind of mayhem like wildfires. Okay, well, thanks, Rico. Yeah, I did that on all of the Compass Rose stuff, so I just figured that I must have done it on the Hype Train stuff too. Again, just letting that be a little bit later. Maybe we'll even carry that down this way again along the edge of that. Let me work in this here. So Doji, I'll send you some of the pictures of all the cyber. That's what I'm checking on actually. Is just in a second I want to check on especially the print with all the trees. But I've made all kinds of basing bits. I made the figures. So this is a one-time. Actually, Doji, believe it or not, this is, you could say it was an army painter practice, right? Making multiple figures that are 28 mil. I mean, we've made lots of these. But I learned a bunch when I was making the figures for the board game, and then I tried to apply what I learned there to making these. And again, Aganis, appreciate you. And again, Aganis, if you wanted to share some stuff too, again, Doji, you want to share things in the chat, please go ahead. Let me get my little. Well, that was a little more than I wanted on that as far as the highlight goes. Also to get some our latest light on the metal stuff there too. I mean, we still are only 2.5 hours in here. And as I said, at the very top, right there, a lot of freehand in this one here. There's going to be tons and tons and tons of freehand on this. We still have a whole bunch of that yet to do. Even with, again, all the stuff that we've done here. So again, I think what I might do is going to go check on those prints super quick. Refresh the anti-sleeping medicine. Because we've used a little bit of that just again trying to avoid the whole sleep streaming thing. Who would have thought that that doesn't make for the best streams there? Alright, so we will be right back. Don't go anywhere because we got tons of stuff to do on our Guinevere here. We got all kinds of lighter stuff to add to our metals. Might actually probably do that before we do anything here because I might still need to stick my finger on that in order to do all the metals. So let's do those next. Again, just don't go away. We shall be right back. So we want to do that lighter stuff we were talking about on the metals here. I think we can roll with some of this. There's still some of the white left. We'll let that mix in with a little bit of this. Yeah, let's go with the sky blue there. Gotta break this stuff down. It's getting a little bit gummy. Everything again is alkyds. It's all gonna be alkyds until after Gen Con. And once Gen Con is over, we can start to work our way back into the regular oils again. Eventually, we can do some of our fast matte white on some of these parts here too. Not right now, but yes, some of these we'll hit those with our fast matte white. I mean, we're almost at hour 3. Let me hit. There we are. Some of that. So I checked on the prints there. Checked on the prints, and that worked out pretty well. Actually, let's see. Why is there my chat not showing up over there? Where is our chat? It is. It's up on top. It should be there. Not sure why nothing is showing up over there. There should be something there. Okay, yeah, we didn't get this later stuff over here either. Now there it is. Yeah, now it shows up there, Camda. Because I was looking, there was a whole bunch of chatty chats, and there was a whole bunch of nothing sitting over there in the box. Now we got something in the box. Actually, Camda, I don't know if you. I think you might have had a chance to share your link early on, but if you want to share your Instagram link there again, I think maybe maybe you got a chance early to do that, but not. I don't know if you'd have had a chance since then. I'm gonna try to hit this again with the. There we go. Just I did the lighter dot thing. Oh, one more time. A little something there. Let's get our little light dot up there with our green. Oh yeah, we gotta do that on this side here. There we go. Everybody check out that link that Camda Paints just shared, because Camda Paints with the oils. Oh, look at that. Lo and behold, there's stuff showing up in the box where it's supposed to be showing up. Let me try some of my darker stuff here. Let me get this here. Payne's Gray / Indigo. That's a little too thin. It's a little too close to a inline wash there. All right. That's better. Yeah, it's multiple shares this stream there, Camda. Let me roll with that up here. So again, when it comes to the YouTube version of this, it'll just be all the freehand stuff. I mean, it's nice to have the other stuff, but the most important part of it to make sure it gets shared on the YouTube stuff later is going to definitely be all the freehand stuff, because there's a bunch of it. We've been doing a lot of it already. A little bit extra of the dark there. Now again, I'm gonna get break out the. Well, I mean, we're almost 3 hours in, anyways. It's pretty much fast matte white time. That is this right here. That is this stuff. Look at this. We actually have a decent spot to put that right there. We might have to put some more out there later on. I'm gonna just again. I'm just taking my dropper bottle of thinner here and just dropping down little teensy drop in some places. Okay, that needs to maybe go over here. And again, I'm gonna start breaking it down a little bit now. Let us get some bright highlights here on these metals. That should also definitely be a little lighter there too. Might even hit a little bit on our filigree too. Not a ton. Let me do this. And remember the the Woden stuff, right? The Woden figures. I want to do those for our Army Painter series. Because one of the things that we've never really done a Army Painter series on, well, things that have a white armor. We've done things with white cloaks, maybe, or there's some white in it, but the Woden, they've got a ton of white on them, and I thought that would be a real interesting thing. Also, too, again, that would be it would be the first army painting series with my own figures, which means you would not have to do the My Mini Factory thing or whatever to buy the files that I buy to do the filming with. It's all kind of part of a long range whatever to try and save you some coins there by not having to go 2, 3, 4 other places to get the files that I'm using in the videos. We've already been doing that with the busts. I think actually the first one that I might make available there, Camda, is the marble stuff. I mean, that's pretty basic. It's a square or a cube. So that might be the first one, and I might see, since it's just the one file, and it should be relatively simple. I don't know. I might even see if I don't have to put it in a Google Drive link. Maybe I can make it just as an attachment or something in a Patreon message. It'd be easier that way. So see you later, Doji. See you later. Have a good one. And again, Doji, I'm glad that the vacation was, you got to see a lot of neat stuff, a lot of great scenery and such. So once again, I'm trying to do some of the lightest light stuff up here. Why? Because, well, I'll have to stick my finger on some of these other places. So let's get to this light stuff here first. And I can't go any lighter than this. This is fast matte white. This is the lightest of light colors that I've got. Now that's great there, Doji. That is great. Let me do a little bit more of that light here. Yep. Oh, no, back this way. Back like this here. Actually, I might just, here, let me turn this baby off. You'll hear a beeping sound. That's not anything disastrous. There we go. Because yeah, recoil, we're going from 87 degrees in here now to it's almost under 70 degrees. It was just what, 2 weeks ago on the Friday stream that it was about 87 in here. do a little bit more of this. Blending brush of some kind. Maybe this one's gonna work, because any brush can be a blending brush, and sure enough, that works just fine. A touch of our light here, and a touch of it over there. And again, all this stuff is mixing together here. And then we can do even more mixing together with the blending brush. Okay, there's a big old chunk of something on the end of the brush. We can get rid of that too. A little more light up there on the shoulder. Instead of using my finger, I wonder if this will work right here. Well, now we're going to have to come back with a little bit of our lighter skin tone just to recover that. Also, not with a piece of fuzz on the end of the brush either. Okay, and then we'll roll like that. A little bit of the lighter skin tone there too. Maybe soften that edge just a bit. There. Now maybe, yeah, these should be lighter right here. Lighter down there. In we go with more of our light right there on that forehead. Our little gemstones here, let's not forget those. With something lighter. Something that still has a bit of the turquoise on it. I think we did those. Now, was there another one? I think there, yep. I'm doing this over here. Where's my... Nah, that's gonna get too grayish if we do that. Let me see what this will do. That's an awful lot of paint sitting on there. Can still get the underside light there. And let's do this on this one. What about the one in the... I thought so. I thought we hadn't gotten this one yet. Now, there we go. Yeah, some of that one just kind of got left behind. I do need some darker bluish green over here. Now, we don't have the Prussian blue. We actually have ultramarine blue out here, but that's still, I think, going to work for the... Yeah, that'll still work if we blend these together. Some more of the dark on the top of that, and then down here, we don't have really any of it. I believe I can use this as a blending brush here, so... And that's not doing this, we're doing tap, tap, tap. We're not swiping with it, we're just tapping with it. Underside of that, cut that off a little. How much darker are we going to go with these? Dark up on top there. Dark, sort of on top of that. We need to take away some of the. There we go. That little dot there wasn't so little. It was kind of gigantic. We don't need it that ginormous. Here's another area. But then this is actually not as dark as we could go with that. You know what? We'll say that is also another one of our gemstones. Underside light there. Possibly even there. Now, what about this? Let me get some of my radiant, or not radiant, radiant green. Under that. Bottom of both of those. Also this here. I wanted it. Okay, maybe we need a little more thinner paint. Sticks to the thicker paint. We do have the new sticker to show that. I've told you, Rico. Now these stickers, I could actually animate these stickers now. That would be super wild. Now this is about as light as we can go with our green here. Come on, extra light there. All right. Now let me see if I can't first. I wonder, should I use? I might just use it. I think this will work as a filbert brush right here. I'm just visualizing this right recoil as they move there. They get reflected into the helmet there. I will take, this is again our ultramarine blue. We're taking some of the phthalo green now. I might need a little thinner to break this down. Mostly, cause, I mean, this stuff's been sitting around a while. There we go. Yeah, that's been sitting around for a while. I need to darken this up and also make it a little bit more towards the green because I want to put some of our circuitry pattern on this. Yeah, liking that little extra hint of green there too. That's just the tiniest bit of a doji left before he got this. It's not cobalt teal bluish, but it is teal. Blammo. And then again, we'll let this set while we do some other things here. Tempted to put some dark back in there. Let me see. I think let's go one level lighter in the hair while we're thinking about it. Otherwise, I'll just forget. I will immediately forget. I will take this. Some of our brown. Fine, taking some of my lighter gold. Now, I don't know if this is the lightest light yet. I don't want it to be the same as the hair. Not too yellow. Too yellow. So let's just get more of the white into this then. Almost kind of like a light brownish gray. That's basically what it is. Now we have officially crossed the 3-hour plateau, even though the clock says 1 hour 40 minutes. We are wow! I looked up there. I saw a bunch of threes. Instead of a cinco trace, we had a cuatro trace. We had 4 threes up there. It was what, 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 33 seconds. I thought, wow, that half hour went really quick there, Camden. I know we say on the channel, don't blink, right? Recoil, but that's kind of taking that to a bit of an extreme. That's only supposed to involve painting, not the actual clock itself. Yeah, I looked up and I went, how in the world did it go from barely over 3 hours to 3 hours 33 minutes? A touch more of a light here. And that's does hasty apply to Cinco trays too? I guess. Don't be hasty on the Cincos. And that's how you end up with the Cinco Stinko, right, Camda? Trying to get my extra little bits of light on the hair. I'm not sure I want to go a whole lot lighter than that. There we are, and here. So now let us think about the brocade stuff that goes out here, because I might even use either this one, or maybe we grab an even newer one. Yeah, what the heck, let's grab it. We have tons of these. Oh, that's what I keep forgetting, is to get some more of these. So these are the One Happy Choice brushes. Let me just yank a couple of these bad boys out here. Yes, I need to get me some more of those. Ah, good. Here's our fast mat. Wait. More thinners to just kind of breaking this down while it's sitting over here. That is still kind of thicker side with that brush. So we won't necessarily go with that one. Let's try this one. Is that any better? A little, sort of. Let me take some more paint out of that. It's still a little too fluffy. I mean, that's when it's just pennies on the dollar for the brushes. That is kind of how that might work. Is that you have brushes that are going to be run the gamut of all different types. We're just going to have to stick with this brush because this one has a sharper tip on it. At least I remember it having one. Let's go with this now. Or if it's too late, and see, that might be too late. Wow, look at that. Gonna try to get back to some of my original, more grayish tone then. Gonna get me a little bit of the violet in there. Let's see what this is. This is just toned it down a little bit here. And this is almost like putting texture on, like say Merlin's cloak or whatever. Oh, that one might actually work a little bit better. But then these I can use for doing that. So you can see how that kind of takes away some of the, well, we'll just say some of the choppiness of that. Where's the one that I wanted to? I think this is the one that I really, really meant to actually grab here. But this is definitely the one. Unless we might snip off a little bit of this. Where's my scissors? Okay, I think that took it. Sometimes it's easier if you want to snip that stuff. Do it while there's, especially with the oil paint on the brush. So what I'll do is I'm going to do this kind of crazy stuff here, and then we're going to take that blending brush like this, and you can see how that gets toned down. Kind of gets pushed around. Alright, so there's a little something there. And again, if we don't like it, if it's getting too confusing, then we can always just go back and kind of wipe that out. Let me fill in that little crack there, whatever that is. Down over this way. To the blending brush we go. More of it here. So again, though, we're trying to have... It's not like the texture we had in the cloaks, you know, the sort of rough burlap texture, something like that. This is supposed to indicate, again, that there's some kind of embroidery that's happening here on this part of the dress here. I'm gonna darken you down a little bit more here. And then by darken down, I mean just a minute amount. And we're going to change the direction of this because we got this undulation here. That's where we kind of restart this again. You can kind of see the suggestion, right, of the brocade that's going all the way up to the edge of the sleeve here. A little bit more of that again, but it's more like a middle tone. Not really a dark, it's more of a middle tone. Let's get that in here. Something can be used as a blender. What about this guy here? No, that is not D1. This might be the one. Then again, that's just kind of, see, like here, it's not as prominent, and all I'm doing is just tapping it in there. Kind of spreads the paint around, pulls it around. Yeah, see that? That's starting to look a little bit more like some fabric that's got texture on it, and then we'll do another round with our really, really light stuff after that. Just going to move that out of the way. And we are emphasizing this a little bit more also too. You can see on the areas that are higher elevations get more of this, the lighter pattern type stuff here. Trying to make it go this way and that way, changing around. Making it look like it's almost like some swirls there. Take that and maybe a little bit of our violet here. There we go. Okay. Because here on the top of these folds, that's where we're going to take the really, really, really light stuff. So this is more of a mid-tone. Again, we're always talking about mid-tones, highlights, all that kind of stuff. Mid-tones, let's say you got a value range of 1 to 10. Mid-tones tend to fall in that 4 through 7 range. And that's where most of your colors usually end up. Not in highlights, not in shadows. No, that's getting flattened out. Let's refresh that brush. Yeah, there we are. Popping some of that in to get to the blending brush, which is this one. right here. And we're again not swiping at it. We're doing this tapping motion here. And that leaves a good portion of the brushstroke behind, but it doesn't wipe it all out. Here we are, some more of that. We'll do more here. Blending brush again. There you are. So you can see that you can almost count the individual brushstrokes here. Then we do this, and just to kind of subdues those. You can still see some of that violet coloration also that we got in some parts of this here. A little more over there. Let's hit this here. Okay. You can really see the difference what we get here to where the difference between the smooth area and now the area that has some of our suggested here a little bit of embroidery style texture. Now, if you wanted to spend many hours, this would be a very specific pattern. Who knows? Maybe we use this for a painting large scale series, and then we try to do an even more precise inlay here of that brocade. To me, sometimes the suggestion of it is better than drawing out every last little millimeter of it. Now it's time for a tap here. And that also, we'll see the brush picks up some of that paint and it will transfer it into these recesses here. Is there another batch of it? No, we were good. I think, yeah, we had done most of it there. Maybe go on the arm here next, up here, and then the stuff down on the front. I'm also going to get a little bit more out of brown in this mix here. That's still a little bit on the light side. Then this is just the burnt umber. That's all it is. There we are. And again, not trying to take out all of the shadow areas either, but you can see we kind of have the semi-swirling brush stroke happening here. You can see it kind of swirls this way, that way. Not as much into the areas that are more in shadow, those type of undulations. Trying to think, well, raised surfaces. Surfaces that would catch maybe a little bit more of the light. That is not Mr. Blending Brush. That is... I think it was that... Now here it is. Again, just poking at it, and we're not doing this. All that's going to do is just create yourself a smear. You don't want that. When we get to some of the lightest stuff in this brocade stuff, might have to break out the fast matte white again. That is possible. Need some of that over here now. More this side too here. Okay, a little bit of that under here. So we still have ourselves, looks like, let's see, about 320, so about 13-ish minutes or so, 13, 14 minutes. We've been doing this about 3 hours, 20 minutes now. And I know that the timer says only probably a couple of hours. That's just because Twitch went all twitchy on us. And we'll get, yeah, some more of this here. No, not quite enough of there we are. That was getting a little static. I wasn't really seeing the swirl here like I am on this side. That might have gotten a little too light. No, not really. Not too light. We are trying to keep the shading intact here. Nope. Wrong one. Trying to make sure none of that yellow got on there. Back to it again here. Start filling in some of this with this filigree over the side of this, set down a little bit into that undulation, but not too much. Keep hiding that blending brush on myself there. So I think you can see with this versus this, and again we're gonna, in the height of the fold areas, that's where we're gonna really start to pick out again the lightest part of that filigree. Up in here. And then of course we'll get to that with our blending brush. Down we go. Blending brush, blending brush, blending brush. I mean, this is basically the exact same way we did all the cloak texture on Merlin. Both the standing figure, the bust. Let me work this down this way. Again, trying to create some kind of impression of some swirls here. Blending brush again. Again, not taking away everything. Okay, and now in here. Blending brush to it again. That is not the right one. that one is. You know, I'm just going to try to leave that one up there, or I can keep a little better track of it. If anything, you can sort of see that I'm kind of emphasizing the pattern, especially where it is like right here, not so much in that undulation down there, so much more of it goes where it is later anyways. And we still have to hit that also then one more time. Now I gotta start hitting these panels here. All the way down in here. I think the light would actually end up getting some of that. That's getting too late. I'm gonna come back, darken you down. I maybe a little. Whoops, not too much of that way. We darkened it down for a reason. Ooh, I think we got it just about right. Because we got to do this. Then we got the sleeve up here. You see this an awful lot on the historicals, I think. Boy, this stuff sets up real quick, like too. It's almost like I kind of just do like one panel here, and then maybe again refresh the brush, clean up a little bit. Which is no, that is not my. Let's try this one here. How are we looking on the ends of this? Yeah, that'll work as a blending brush. So again, all I'm going to do is do this, just kind of stabbing at it here. You can see that's taken away some of the paint, and that's what makes it look like it's all blended. It's not really blended in that sense. Not like it's wet blended, it's just it's dry blending. There you go. Okay. And you can see sometimes the brush is kind of working it in a circular motion. Maybe a little more thinner here. Ooh, not too much. Kind of needed that to just kind of get down in there. That's why I went with a little bit more thinner, so the brush stroke could be super light. Up and over here. Again, let's see, we're doing kind of like these little swirls here. I'm going to try and get that all the way to the bottom here. Now over this side. This just overall is making this lighter. Now there's the stabby stuff. Well, we keep again most of what's underneath there. But now hopefully we got this kind of almost semi-translucent. Again, this bit of filigree in there. Now here, let's do the same deal here. You can see I'm going to take in the brush, doing these swirls and other such things here. All the way down to the hemline here. That got a little bit thicker than I wanted. Well, that brush went away. Let's try this one. Again, doing the stabby stab thing here. So most of the texture goes away, but you can see some of it gets left behind. And we only got about 4 more minutes to our Cinco trace, but then not that far away to a Cinco dos, or dos Cinco dos. I don't know what, not quite sure what we call it there, Camden. So we already kind of did some of our mid-range light on the this sort of brocade pattern here. To that blending brush we go, and this is the one we're using now. See, and it picks up some paint, which means I can sort of transfer some of that around, not just, you know, take stuff away. I can actually take that and add it somewhere else. There we are, and well, we've almost kind of worked our way all around this. This was going to be one of the longest tasks right here, doing this. The freehand was another kind of longish one. I gotta get this part of the. Again, that's not this. That is still part of the sleeve. Okay. I thought it was because I saw that trim there. Not too much of this up in here because, again, that's a shadow area. So let me take my blending brush here, and we're just gonna take some of that away. We see we take that and then we transfer it elsewhere. I think I really did get the end of that sleeve down here. Again, you can see all the swirling that's going on here. No, 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 we don't want you there. Get this up here. And again, now we'll probably be hitting that with some of our fast matte weight there. Where's my blending brush? Here it is. Okay, now we got it. Yeah, we done that. Extra little light in there, extra little light up there. And I'll get some of the very last areas we need to do this sort of filigree in blending brush again. There it is, a little bit of Cinco trace there. 3 hours, 33 minutes, 33 seconds. Again, it means nothing. But boy, we certainly do like to celebrate it, right, Camda? Now it looks like it's only about 13, yeah, but now a little over 12 minutes away from a Cinco dos. Erda Michael, if you want to share some stuff in the chat, please go ahead, like always. And again, I hope that it still maybe it works out that you can get to ReaperCon there. Maybe, yeah, work out some of this. And you can see how it's kind of swirling around, right? It's not just we're not just doing a stag pattern. There's a little bit of swirl to it, kind of going this way and that way. Everybody check out the Instagram link that Artem Michael just shared. Okay, I did just have that blending brush in my hand. That's got too much thinner in there to be using it for that. Ah, here it is. Okay, we're going to do the stabby stuff here. Not too much stabby, but there you go. And there we are. Here. Bit more this way. We don't have any of you in there. You got some of this has to go into that dark crevice. Another little section over here. And now we gotta get our latest stuff. So, I don't know if I need to bring out more. I might throw a little bit of fast matte white out just to make sure that it's as bright as I can get it. Let's get a little too smushy there. So we maybe do a little bit of refresh on that brush. Okay, there we go. Now I can get a little bit more again of identifiable swirls happening. A bit more here, yep. Now maybe some more over here. Or do I gotta get later? Let me see what happens if we get a little more white in there. Yeah, I can see a little something in there now. More here. So yeah, we check out the Instagram link that Michael just shared. Join this up in here, and I think we did the other shoulder like this. Wait, not too much, not too much. Oh yeah, here with that. Some of that's got to go into that mid-range or some of that torque. And I think now we have at least a little bit of this everywhere. I do, yeah, let's grab a little bit more of this. Again, that's the Gamlin Fast Matte White. Yeah, I think, yeah, we could probably even get away with our other white too. The Paul Rubens white. Now, this right here, this has to go on the higher areas here. It can't go down into the, pretty much at all, down in any of the undulations or crevices there. So this is much closer to straight up white here. And just breaking it down. And that will go up in here again, kind of focusing where maybe things are a wee bit lighter. Might even use, I was tempted to maybe grab our liner brush for this. I'm still going to probably be doing some blending brush activity here though. No, I think we're going to stick with this. See how the brush is kind of flying around, going different directions. Creating the impression of some kind of embroidery, whatever. Extra a little bit light up and there. Sticking with this. Sticking with this over here. sticking with this over here. Okay, only now on the raised surface. Before it was mostly on the raised surfaces, now it's almost exclusively on the higher elevations. And you can still see some of my purple down in there too. I think it is working. Okay, what's the... Yeah, you never really know sometimes if a particular effect is going to get what you want, but this did. So yeah, I think this will have to be a tutorial on the Patreon page then. It'll be part of the painting large scale series most likely. And the nifty thing is, this figure will just be part of your pledge level. That's like all the other ones I've been doing. It's a little too much. I'm going to take some of that away. Can't doing these little swirls and such, and maybe some of them kind of leach over into the shadow areas. That's maybe some threads that went a little bit askew or something, whatever. Or maybe they're not quite, because they usually have to be laid down in a really specific pattern next to each other. What was that with the mosaics, right? They would always have one or two that were not level, and the idea is that would kind of catch the light, those one or two tiles or whatever, and that would kind of create a little extra little sparkle there. That's kind of what can happen with the embroidery stuff too. Especially kind of done by hand, you'll get those areas where there's a little bit of a gap maybe. So now we're here. We're just 4 minutes away from Cinco Dos Dos. That need there. Okay, so yeah, I think it's reading the way I was hoping that it would. So instead of just trying to go, okay, get the really smooth kind of shading on these, it's way more fun having all this embroidery stuff for sure. Still might need to go back and do a little bit of the blending brush in some cases, like here. Not much, just a little. Just a little. Can a little bit of twist, a little bit of turn there. A little more. A little more there. Trying to get some later again. Just a hint of it there, not a ton. The same thing down in here. Like this. Maybe even lighten you up a little bit up there. In here too. Again, gotta keep these sort of swirls and other patterns in here. Otherwise, it's gonna, it'll look like our, was that almost sackcloth robe texture, like we did on our Merlin. I had to soften that up a little bit there. That's just a little bit softer now. More my light right up in there. And with each of these applications, right, you're going to have, it's almost like when we're doing our marble, that kind of semi-translucent veins and all that kind of stuff, inclusions. And hopefully, again, this kind of gives you the impression of some really thick cloth, some heavy cloth, and with lots of embroidery in it. And you can see we're not doing that here, right? Because the arm sort of casts in a bit of a shadow there. This should probably catch a bunch of light, so that is going to have plenty of this and that to and fro as we welcome in Isidore. How you doing there, Isidore? Everybody, please give Isidore27 a follow. And of course, Isidore, you know the deal. You gotta post some Instagram links in the chat there. So, Isidore, I hope that you had yourself a blast on the stream. So, Isidore, this is the Queen of the Silver Thread, Isidore. So, it's another version of our Guinevere. Uh, a, a wee bit of freehand, you might say. Yeah, we're kind of trying to do this a little bit of embroidered cloth here. We'll show you some of the other Gwennies that we've done. So this is, believe it or not, this is the third one, Isidore. And everybody please give Isidore27 a follow. Here, look at that blending brush. I think that is this guy. There we are. So here is our first one. So you could almost kind of call this one current day, right? This is actually the kind of precursor here. So this is again the Queen of the Silver Thread. You can see they're very, very similar, same person. And then here is kind of in between. So this represents Guinevere kind of at the height of Camelot, the height of her power. Obviously, lots of free hands, a little bit of sword sliding there. So again, that is kind of the in-between stage there. That one and this kind of in between. Our stream yesterday, we were doing another version of Nimue. So there's our alternate version of Nimue actually wielding Excalibur. This time, gonna grab you the other one here. There you go. So again, that's our alternate version of Nimue right there. And again, Isidore, if you want to share some Instagram links or something in the chat, please go ahead and do that. This is kind of our second application here of our lighter sort of, again, embroidery texture here on Guinevere's cloth. Doing lots of swirls and all that kind of stuff here. We're moving around towards this side now. So yeah, Isidore, we're going to have kind of multiples of everybody. I'm working on another Lancelot sculpt. This one will be, again, kind of the original one, since we were just trying to get the characters. It was almost more that A pose, or even T pose, I guess. It's really more the A pose. Once you kind of get the character down, that's when you can start messing around with other poses and such. You know, something that maybe has a little more action to it. Because with all this kind of the specialty things they have, right, with all the what looks like cybernetics and stuff, sometimes it's a little bit easier to lock that in first when the pose is much simpler. Well, say it like this one here, and then once you've got that kind of figured out, then maybe you go ahead and try to do a little more complicated pose, a little more dynamic. So Isidore, the other thing, I'm trying to create this diorama, basically the Cyber Wapple diorama. It's basically Cyber Wapilius, Cyber Cathy, Cyber Cat, and Cyber Giro, all basically in a cyber garden where everything is all kind of fiber optic trees, crystal flowers, about a bazillion light. I'm not joking. There's gonna be a bazillion light sources, Isidore. Everything is a light source. There's light sources absolutely everywhere on that thing. I'm hoping now that after this latest round of prints. I will have printed all the stuff that I'll need to actually construct it. It's really been months and months in the making. I think I first started working on the concepts and stuff. I'm sorry about that. Back in, gosh, early, like late April, early May. So yeah, it's definitely been a little over 2 months, and we're only just now getting into the printing stage. So again, everybody give Isidore a follow, and of course, Isidore, I was wondering what kind of big old projects you've got going. I don't think, unless I don't know if you're going to Gen Con or let me see, what would be well, and then there would be, oh, what is that called? It's in Geneva, Lake Geneva there. Oh, Dragonfall. That's it. Dragonfall. Or the ReaperCon. There's that too. Keep forgetting about ReaperCon. Yeah, I figured that wasn't going to be the case there, Isidore. Now, Isidore, hopefully you got all your stuff lined up for Adepticon. Because what, the hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff. Let me work this in here. More of our light there. You know what? I'm going to add a... Remember, we were talking about a few of those lighter things. Going to cross it into our shadow undulates. Not a ton, just a few. Now, that's fantastic. There is a door. Now, I guess that, well, then what would be kind of the goal as far as Adepticon plans? It's like, well, I would really like to have this done or that done, or try these classes. Well, again, you can see our patterns start to emerge there. It kind of goes this way and that away and that away and this away. Now we'll take this and we do this a little bit. We're not doing this. I would just smear it. We're not looking to smear it. We're looking to kind of take away the excess paint, but essentially leave the texture behind. More of that here. Like so. There. Hey there, Batch Painter. Nice to see you. So, Batch Painter, actually, same thing there, Batch Painter. You want to share some linkies in the chat. Everybody, please give Batch Painter a follow. So, great to see you there, Batch Painter. Of course, happy Saturday. And again, this is this is actually the third version of Guinevere that we are working on here. This is the Queen of the Silver Thread. Still has all the cybernetic stuff because, well, it's part of our Cyberthuria Universe. As you can see some reference images there also in the overlay in the corners. So everybody check out the Instagram link that Isidore just posted, and of course again give Isidore a follow. So again, this was the very first Guinevere that we did, and of course this is kind of closest to the, that's kind of the downside of Camelot there. This is almost pre-Camelot here, like right at the beginnings of Camelot, and of course here this is kind of at the height. So that was, forget when we did, that was not too long after Adepticon. Of course, last night we did this again. It is an alternate pose for our Nimue there. I might drop in a little more of this lighter stuff in here. Again, that is you can see the texture kind of going this way and that away. And we're using the little One Happy Choice brushes. These are These are basically just cheap little craft brushes. And by cheap, I mean they may be less than 10 cents a piece. That's just how inexpensive they are. I might try to get a little bit more of our light here. Yeah, and now back to our blending brush. Where are you hiding? Again, we do this little tap, tap, tap routine here. Like that. Now let's get this side here. We've been doing all this side. Let's go back over here again. There we go. Like this. Some more. Up there. Is nice. Up here, I think we already did some of that there. Couple extra little bright highlights on the middles there too. So everybody check out the Instagram links that Batch Painter just shared. And of course, again, everybody please get Batch Painter a follow. Now, Batch Painter, we're going to be streaming here in a little bit. So that folks know that if they follow, then they should also be looking for you right away if you're going to be streaming here. Let me catch a little bit of that. So again, this is not straight up white here. We could, in theory, still go actually a little lighter than this. So glad that you get the chance to do some of the classes there, Batch Painter. Maybe rock and roll with again that just kind of swirling this brush around, creating those extra bits of texture right there. More of it here. Some more of it down there. Yep, let's get this going. Like this. There. More. Like that. Another batch of our swirly stuff here. There we are. Now we're glad that, again, glad you had a chance to do that there, Batch Painter. And again, everybody please give Batch Painter a follow, and also Isidore27. So we still got these panels here to go. Yeah, we should have some of this work its way into the crevice over there. Come on, let me get this in there too. Down in here. There we are. Alright, let's do some more of it over here. We have our blending brush at the ready. So if I do stuff, here, let's make sure we have that change directions enough. Now we got this here. So you can see that's a little bit too noticeable. We just do this, and now it's just slightly less noticeable. And now we're just about to cross into hour number 4. I know that the timer says 2 hours 36 minutes, but well, Twitch was twitchy and it wiped out the first portion of the stream because that's what Twitch does. At least we will have the freehand portion and this portion. Got taken our blending brush to it, which is basically another one of these, and just smushing that all together. So thanks, Hermit Wolf, for sharing the Instagrams, the YouTubes, and the Patreon page. So again, the YouTube channel, the Linseed Fellowship one, that is where you can watch past sessions. Tons and tons of our Cyberthuria stuff. There also our Compass Rose universe. So yeah, not sure, Batch Painter, if you had the chance to see, we painted some of the, again, the first of our Compass Rose stuff. We did the Wind Dancer full figure. There's also the bust there that we did. Alright, they're getting a little bit more of this now. Is nice. Some more. More of our light in here now. And then where necessary, we'll take the blending brush to it to tone that down. Blending brush again, tone it down. Not doing this, doing this. It's just like over here, same deal. And what that does, it takes away some of the paint, and then I can actually deposit that in other spots. Well, that's I'm glad that you're getting a chance to do that, Camden. There's gonna once what is it? Gen Con is over with. Basically, I'm gonna have to move tons of stuff around because, well, now especially with I still got to find some of those Trench Crusade busts. Okay, I have no idea where they're at. I know I printed out tons of them. I found, I think it was 8 of them, maybe. No, not even. I know there's like 3, 4 more that I know are printed out somewhere. I don't believe those got sold at Adepticon. Let me work out some more of this here. Like so. More of it. A little bit of fuzz on the end of the brush. Now it's gone. Yeah, that's kind of in shadow. So here is there in shadow. Not going to get as much of this. Now, thanks, Batch Painter. So, Batch Painter, I think you saw some of the ships that we painted, right? The starships. That would be the same group of folks right there. Again, so we painted a whole entire fleet of the Seri Republic right there. So Batch Painter is just something, I don't know how many, was it a few months ago, Camden, when I looked up and I noticed that it was 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 33 seconds, and we called that a Cinco Trace, and the challenge was to try and catch all of the Cincos. Cinco Uno, Cinco Dos, Cinco Trace, Cinco Cuatro. We know if we get to a Cinco Cinco, then that's a very, very long stream, right, Camden? Anything longer than that becomes Cinco Stinko. here with the taking that brush, doing this crazy little. You can see we're kind of doing some little mini swirls there. Where did that blending brush just go? It was just in my hand. Disappeared somewhere around here. Fine, we'll just use this one then. Don't matter. And again, this is still not straight up white. There's still a little bit of other color in there. So again, we're going to do some more of this. We're going to take our brush and just kind of swirl that around. Then we take this other one. And then we do this little bit of tap, tap, tap. And that just kind of eats away some of that. Like you do. Come on, a little more. I might try to chuck in a little bit more of the lighter stuff all the way down here too. Like this. I spy with my little eye a couple other places I would like to have some more of this. Like right here. Again, the light kind of would be hitting that anyways. It's laying there on the floor. Now I want to get a little bit of that in here. Which will also serve to highlight here. See some of our filigree there. But only in the places where it's kind of where it's raised a little bit. And we'll do that now. Also here. Some of that over here. Do this. No, no, no. Too much thinner on that brush. Blending brush again. We can just take the edge off a little bit, and that's all. And of course, this is all just free-handed on there. That's not actually sculpted on, printed on, or anything like that. There's a few of the gemstones that are sort of sculpted in there, but other than that, it's basically just some freehand, whatever. We need here a couple of shots of our light. We need something here, then another one there. Now we'll do a little a little more cleanups in there too after we try to maybe get some more light up here. Couple of hits of light on the crown. Little smidge of light right at the bottom there. remember when we were first doing this, all of this looked very, very rough because we weren't going back in and doing the kind of the lighter lights over the top of it like we normally would. Actually, here, let me stroll on back. Where's my very light skin tone here? A little more on the nose. And then the upper lip here. Might also have to do some darker stuff on that upper lip. I need to cut into that. Ah, there we go. That's it. I just need that little cut in there. And that little something something on the chin. And now I'm hoping this would suffice for a dark underneath the nose here. Yeah, there we are. It's like the underside of the nose was almost as light as the top side. And that don't work. That's not how it's supposed to work. Alright, he's nice. Enough of that. Now over here. Let me see. I might grab my phthalo green. Maybe just some of that. And just really darken that down big time for a couple little. Just to get a couple little edges on this. Some of these little gemstone things here. It's almost like pearline black right there. That's the color we don't get to talk about too much right now because it's not an alkyd. Once again, we get back from Gen Con, we'll be able to start to get back into the non-alkyd stuff once again, kind of like after Adepticon. There we go, and that should stand out a little bit now. We'll do that down. There we go. Now you can see the bottom of the gemstone there. Really couldn't before. We got ourselves another one up here. Okay, now I think you can kind of see all of those. We got these other ones around here. We got the ones in the front too. Darker up there. This over here. Now for these guys, a little reinforcement on these right here, especially this top one. I could really use it. That one's doing reasonably well. Now, thanks to Camden, I do think we'll have to have a special tutorial for this kind of fabric right here. Also, too, I mean, painting white, right? That's something that people are always kind of looking for, right, Camden? I think that'll tackle a couple of things at the same time. Not really something we haven't had a chance to feature this kind of stuff before. I've done it before, but I don't think we've really done a super specific video on it. I think it's more been like part of something else. And of course, well, Camden, this is the advantage, right, of when you make your own sculpts. Well, you can sort of say, okay, I want to do this type of tutorial. You just sculpt something for it. And again, this is for the Cyberthuria Universe. This is our Guinevere here. And again, that's the part of the story, the Queen of the Silver Thread. I would like, no. The violet here. And our Indian yellow, so we're back to our amber color here now, breaking all this down, a little more of the Indian yellow. Maybe a bit more. Boy, that is almost a solid clump of paint right there, Camden. That's been out there, I want to say, about maybe 4.5 ish hours, because obviously that went out on the palette before we started. Come on. There's that darker line up there. Now, a couple of spots in the crown here. Not too many. Maybe take that green away a little. And now I'm going to try this here. That's our Mars Yellow Deep substitute there. Oh, guess we got a little bit of the white in there now too. Yeah, thanks, Betchpin. I was kind of hoping that that would sort of help carry some of the cybernetic theme too. And yeah, we've done a bunch of that with like the semi-translucent stuff. We've done a lot of with the freehand patterns like that. But and I think you saw the one where we did Merlin, and he very much had that kind of textured cloth. Do I have? No, he is kind of tucked away there. He would be difficult to get to. I try to lighten this stuff up here on the top. There we are. Man, there's actually some dingy violets in some of the shadow areas here. There's some grays, even a little bit of brown. Touch a little bit of blue even. Again, kind of a grayish blue, but blue nonetheless. We still well, okay. If we add some thinner, that'll be active again. Ooh, there's like a chunk of paint on the end of the brush there. Okay, that's mostly gone now. So we're almost trying to, again, kind of do the same thing we were doing with the cloth. With this, we're going to maybe do one more hit of our fast matte white out here. Yeah, that's kind of doing the same thing. Right, a little glinty fresh right there. A little bit of glinty stuff happening on that sleeve. Now, of course, this was a slightly different approach on our Morgan Le Fay here. This was a 4-part tutorial series on the Patreon page, and this was with actual. We mixed our own metallic oil paints to do this, and this is also 75 millimeter sized. We even we used the UV resin to create. Look at that, a nice little lens right there on the eye. How you doing there, Lobo? Appreciate you being here. So again, that is Morgan Le Fay on the Serpent Throat. Now we're going to do some of this on our base over here. That's why I showed that, because I wanted to see that, because we're going to do some of that here. We'll grab some of you. We'll grab some of you. And also some of you there. And let's try to have at it here. Some nice little patterns. I wonder, do I have the piece of board? That's not really around anywhere. I think that was episode 2 or something like that, when we were doing all the transfer of that pattern. Now, again, we're just going to do some of the same kind of stuff here. Of course, if it doesn't work out the way we like, we can just wipe that all away. Let me see if I can get some of the shorter ones here. And that will just kind of stop there. And then a couple of, let's go again, different angles here. Yep, let's have that go this way. Couple more like that. And as light as this looks, well, guess what? This is not as light as we can go. We could go lighter than this for sure. Get ourselves an angle on that. Two of the shorter ones there. We'll do a set of 3 here and then get a couple of angles. And yeah, let's do a line up this way and then another. Maybe one that's completely going that way. A couple more straight ones there. May steal some of that white and bring that over here. Now we got to start breaking that down. That's a whole bunch lighter right there. Look at that. Get these little points on the end of these. And then this is where we kind of try to have the look like the energy is sort of flowing through those. So yeah, that Morgan Le Fay one. This is just my plinth, and now you can't see it here, but these plinths all have gigantic magnet holes in them. So this is, I think, well, this is a little bit smaller here, but that's what's actually in there. So there's no actual texture on there. We're just painting on here, and that's what we did with the Morgan Le Fay one. Thanks, Camda. I was really hoping that it could be, and I think actually, Camda, we might break out the fast matte white one more time to get some like really glinty things on there, like super glinty. All right, we're just about ready to rock on that then. Oh no, a little bit more here. So yeah, on this, this doesn't actually exist at all. We just painted this on it. It's just like the texture here, and all of this freehand stuff doesn't actually exist. We just kind of put that on there. This is our darker green to separate those. Like you do. There we are. And I figured if I could do that here, then we could kind of get away with only doing the embroidery stuff here. So I get one more roll with the fast matte way. Of course, Camden, we could be even more cheeky. We could throw this on there too, right? So Lubo, I hope everything is fabulous, and of course, happy Saturday. Now, this Saturday stream, I'm not sure if we'll do our Nimue one. I was kind of hoping to save the corrupted version of Gala had for a tutorial video. That would be on a skin tone, because we've actually done several that skin tone on the streams. Haven't had a chance to do a video with that skin tone yet. Yes, and look at this. Yes, glad that I did save this little teensy bit. Yep, doing the lightest light here. Teensy bit of it. Yep, another round of it here. And again, so we're doing that kind of little bit of swirling brush stroke there. Like that. That's too much of a linear thing. We gotta make that not be a line. We need to make it go like this. More. No, too much paint on there. That's better. I am going to take, where's Mr. Blending Brush? Well, there's several blending brushes just sitting right there. I'll just grab one of them, do that. And now, it's kind of like what we were doing on this, right? We were catching just, again, a little glint of a few areas, and that's all we're looking to do here. Not very much of it at all. It's a little bit on the highest raised surfaces. Come on, what do we got going on there? More here. Now Canvas, since, well, Trench Crusade, I guess back on the menu, I could do a Trench Crusade overlay. I've got plenty of my art brick that I can use to create that. I think I did, what, 2 different painted backdrops? Yes, indeed. Alright, give me more of that on here. Oh yeah, now that I didn't think this was going to be that much later. It is that much later, so it really is kind of giving me a little extra glint right there where we do this. Now getting a little bit of that over here, over there. Again, just on these raised surfaces, these undulations here. Gee whiz, Cam, I looked up there. Well, I guess we're getting on our way to a Cinco Quattro now. Holy smokes! That wasn't the original plan. So much for plans, right? Recoil. Couple of the. Yeah, let's lighten you up a bit there. Yeah, we'll get some more of that here. More of our light there. Some more of it here. I have to do that whole slavey right there. Gonna have to get a bunch of our glinty stuff on that. Also the shoulder up here. We're missing some there. Oh yeah, we'll finally take a little bit there too. Ah, I see another area I spy with my little eye that we're missing some of our brightest stuff, like over here. Fine, we'll get some on there. That is too thick. You'll retreat from that. Yep, that is. I can't believe how much later that was. I was not expecting there to be that much difference. I knew there'd be a little bit, but that is more noticeable than I thought. And plus two, now see it's popping up against that little darker edge there. Yep. Alright, back down here again. Back down here, doing some of this. We'll definitely have to break out the blending brush for, in a bit here on this. We'll do that with this guy. So you can see we take the edge off of that a little bit. We're not wiping the whole thing out. Not taking the whole thing out, just a little bit. Taking away, that's it. And then actually kind of smush it somewhere else. Here's going to be another little edge that's going to stand out when we do this. So this is kind of our third application, like 3.5 applications here of this texture. And of course, being oil paint, we get to mix it all together, wet into wet. Hashtag no layers. Let's do this. Some more of that light up there. And then it kind of starts to disappear, and then it starts coming back down here, because you can see the way that is flowing out this way. Light's going to hit that. Candid, it is wild to see it, right? I mean, you kind of say, oh, okay, you hear the saying all the time, and then when you see it, seeing is believing, right? It's kind of like a film noir. Seeing is believing. So that was way too intense. Look at see how we just took some of that away. Oh, dude, that just happened. Oh, I don't know if it was on the marble there, Cam. It was on something that was just very recent. Could have been maybe the Morgan Le Fay or something. And I'm thinking, gee whiz, I'm going really light here. Why am I not getting anything? And they say, okay, fine, be that way. We'll do the dark stuff. And man, wow, bingo. Way less hassle. All right, Camda. Fine, well, maybe that wouldn't exactly follow along where we're supposed to. There we go. All right, that's better. It's like, where are you going? That ain't the right spot. Get me some of that in here now. Also there. I guess we're going to hit this again too. Because, I mean, again, that's catching the light because light's coming down like that. We need a little something over here. Maybe some more of it up there. Again, that is a really interesting difference there. Again, two similar figures, but boy, oh boy, the dress is done very differently. You know, I never did. Let me get rid of some of the extra paint there. Now that's a little bit heavier than we wanted there. So where's that one? All right, fine. I know we got some darker greens sitting over here. Now, Cam, I'm gonna have to go look and see if the new illustrated version of the Book of Wapple stickers have that. I'm not sure. Alright, let's try these again. We got like 2 or 3 of them to do over here. That is too much thinner. That might be better. What do we got here? First, then this one. Got this. I think there's all of these here to do yet. Okay, we got those 3. We turn in a little bit extra light on the bottom of that. Dark definitely makes light lighter. Because after at a certain point, right, especially with the metals, right, you can only go so light with it. Once you get to that iridescent pearl white, you are stuck. You are a gone goose. You ain't getting past that. Only way to get past that is to start going backwards and do the dark stuff. Go to the dark side, right, Camden? Couple little hits of it there. We are on the crown now. Like right there. And that, see how that just yanks that forward. Just drag that forward. Little touch of our. There's a couple other areas here on the crown. Something there. Now I know we did not get any of our. Nope, I didn't think so. Look at the difference that is a making there. Something told me we could still get that lighter stuff. And maybe also here too. Yeah. So again, that kind of helps to encourage that whole idea of the texture there. Gee whiz, Kim, only 8 minutes. Well, less. Gee whiz, more like 7 minutes almost to a Cinco Quattro. I did not think we were reaching any Cinco Quattros here. That was not the plan. But there was a little jinkiness with the stream early on. Well, at least this will be kind of a temporary embroidered textured cloth until I can actually do the what would you say, the final one. And make you guys a little lighter there. Another area over here with our really light stuff. Again, the light's pretty much pouring down onto this section right here. Why would we not see some lighter stuff with our with our texture in the cloth? It just makes sense. More here. Come on, there we go. Also that. Now we're talking, yeah, that's maybe a little something over here. Also, on the freehand stuff here, just again trying to catch the lightest light here, and that is going to go, boom, right there where the undulation is highest. And that will be the only place. Not down in the crevice of it. Nope. See, we gotta get some of that light there, some of that light here. Because those are, this is also another raised area here. Another raised area down there. Come on, that part over there. This too. Lighter dot, come on. A little more light on the underside of these gemmy stones. Ooh, what do we got? What do we got here? Let me do that. Alright, along this, I think, I can see that my fingers have been removing a lot of this stuff. Okay, well, I'm gonna retreat back to something that got more yellow in it. Come on, this way. Yeah, a whole bunch of that has been wiped away over the course of, probably the last hour-ish. Because I can see it being transferred along here, which, of course, we're going to hit that with the max Darth. Yeah, max Darth. We're going to do that. Yeah, well, yeah, I could tell I've definitely been wiping away some of the later stuff down here. No problem. We'll get that restored. No, no, no. Back over this way. And this is almost another version of like what we're doing with the white, except doing it now with our gold filigree. And you could do this with the metallic stuff if you want, because that's what we did with the Morgan Le Fay on the throne. Let me get, yeah, there, let's lighten you up a little bit there. Yeah, there we are. To this. Alright, there we are. Alright, a little more over here. Right on the edge of this. We have not forgotten, but we gotta do a little something on the inside of these sleeves here as we get just a few minutes away from a cinco quattro. That would be 4 hours, 44 minutes, 44 seconds. But we need to have a little something lighter in there. At least at the end of the sleeve. Blending brush here. Just pretty much taking whatever's sitting over there. There's really not much of the red that shows it. That's why we weren't, I wasn't too worried about getting more, or was it pearly crimson? I was like, yeah, there's not that much red. We don't necessarily need to break that out. We can just survive with what we got. So there it is. We are now basically a little over a minute away. 4 hours, 44 minutes. That was not supposed to be almost a 5-hour stream. You can ask Armored Wolf how that was supposed to go. Wasn't supposed to go quite like that. But sometimes you just got to do things to get the job done. Looking at some more of my reflected light here. Maybe with, this is some of our original violet stuff here. I'm going to try anyways. Maybe if I boost it with a little bit of the white there. Come on. Maybe a little bit more to white there. So we're just a few seconds away from yet another near 5 hour stream. That was not quite the plan. I might try to fish in a little bit of reflected light down in there. Do this. 3, 2, 1, and there you go. There's our Cinco Cuatro, 4 hours, 44 minutes, 44 seconds. Oh, thanks, Camja. Appreciate that. Let those smiley faces just drop down in there. Appreciate that, Camja. So one more hit of our red here on this. Oh, geez, and now it's 4:30 here. Who would have thunk it, right, Camja? When you streamed before, and of course the Cinco Trace is not far behind, but I'm just throwing a little more of my light here, right at the end of the sleeve. That's all we need right there. Thanks, Camja. Yeah, I do think, Camja, this is this is definitely something that we'll have to do as a regular tutorial, because again, there is some textured cloth stuff, and there's stuff that's really close to this, but I never really had a sculpt like this, right, to play with, where there's undulations in here, but they're not all the wacky ones. So batch painter, that is a pretty common thing with this type of cloth or these type of outfits in this era. The red lining, you can it's hard to see it on the little tiny reference over there, but that was very common for this period. Well, the that kind of more medieval period there, to have a basically a red lining inside a cloth instead of now it's just white or gray at best, right, batch painter? There's really not much else to it but white or gray, or it's just the same color. It shows a little bit of opulence, basically having the red on the inside. Sometimes it was red velvet on the inside. Because you'll see that a lot in, again, some of those kind of medieval paintings there, or even Renaissance era too, I would say. Wouldn't be surprised if Renaissance era also had kind of a similar thing. And then there's also too, of course, with all the white and the light grays, a little bit on the bland side. That's another way of kind of sneaky chucking in a little bit of color there. Let me drop in a few more of these. Blending brush is right here. So again, we see those are really obvious. We shall take some of that away. So now it is not quite so obvious. What's crazy, right, Camda, is this what we were doing for some of our planets, like our Jupiter, Io, Europa, to try and get that same sort of texture there? Yeah, we were doing that on our planet ornaments too. Extra little bit of the light down here. A little bit more on the edge there. Alright. Blending brush again. There it is. That's nice. More of our, again, just a few little bits of lights and such here. Right along the edge of this. A little extra lights there. this too, right? Not quite the sleeve. Ooh, this, I don't think that really ever got the lightest light right here. No, I don't think so. We'll put a little bit there. Not that needs, here, let me go back to my yellow. Ah, there we are, yeah. Didn't want too much of the, too much of the weight on this here. Back this away. Where we at? This yellow. It's like, wait a minute. A tiny little bit right along the edge here. Yep, that's pulling that away. We need just that little bit of it pulled away. Like that. And another little bit of it up here. Yep, and this one last little bit right over here, because we need to pull this forward, also this side. Might even need to, I think we can use this to, if it takes the paint off of that might work. There we go. So again, that's all just blending with what's already there. Yeah, that was that. I might go one last little shot on that. There's my white. There it is. One more here. Blend it maybe with this guy. Yeah, with this guy here. And I think, yeah, okay, that's it for that. Now, I mean, this top edge got a little jinky. Let's unjinky that. Some of the brown, some of the black. Okay, yeah, we had to trim away some of that. It's like, whoops, that got a little too far. That went just a wee bit too far. I need more of the brown here. Let's see. Well, that's also got some of the violet in there now too. Separation here. Same deal on the other side. If we can manage that, I think we can see it. There. Okay, that sets this cloth a little further back. That was a little bit too far forward. Little touch of dark on that. A little touch of dark right here. Now, other side of this again. This is what the liner brush gonna do really well, because you can get a whole bunch of paint in there, and because it's not a spotter brush with the little tiny bristles, this just kind of keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling like that. Those little spotter brushes, not so much. They also get beat up really quick. Yeah, those things get beat up so fast. Now I can come back on some of the, yeah, like here, that went a little too far. We'll take some of that back. this here. I think I'll do this line too. There's still some of the violet in this. Come on, push it back a little more. That. There. One more cleanup on this. What's going to happen here? And then pull its way down like that. This is what I was like, what is going on here? That is too light because it's like double shadow. It's supposed to be in shadow, and then the hand is over the top of it. So, yeah. There we go. Also, let me try the super light stuff right there. Too much stuff on that brush. Let me get rid of some of that. Underside of that. Where's me green? Try this. Right there. A little bit of dark on that edge. We need to get the last digits over there too. Might even entertain a little bit of the white there too. Yeah, something like that. This green once again being a little pesky here. Some of that got over the top of that. Now we're going to cut away some of that highlight. I think we're good there too. Let me try my phthalo green. Oh, there we go. There was just too much light, too far up on that. Let me do this here. No more light on that. I might here. Let me. Okay, I got my radiant green. I got the white. There's a couple little. Here, let me try the. Well, first I'm gonna get some of that over here. Now these guys. There's one. There's the other one. There's another one there. Also, a little touch of lights in there. Yeah, something like that. Another little touch of light there. Okay. Yep, like that. And I think, fine, we'll get a couple of these then with the lighter stuff here. Kind of square things off a little. hours. Yeah, that's what works there too. Okay. And then this again, we'll just hit that with the max Darth. Now that it is basically 5 hours here, I do think we are gonna do a little bit of Vamoose. We're gonna say thanks to Armor Wolf for doing all those moderations. Also, thanks for all the bits and the subs, the follows, the cheers, and the raids. Here, let's kind of show our two different Guineveres there. Again, very different kind of a dress, and of course, the Freehand is very, very, very different there. Oh, geez, that's right. Yep, Camden. I forgot about the. Well, we've had a ton of Syncos here. Unsynchronized Syncos. That's it, Cam. The unsynchronized Syncos. That's what it is. All stream. So thanks, Army Wolf. Appreciate that. Yeah, I might head on over this way to Batch Painter here because he just started. I've been kind of waiting on that. But this is definitely worthy, I think, of a tutorial video all on its own, right? Right, Cam. I think we should probably do that. I think that would be super fun. So thanks again, everybody, and unsynchronized. Well, that's it. We got to remember that one, Cam. And thank you so much. I'll shoot you some messages after we get some chow here. Thank you so much.